Hello, Internet. My name is Chevie. I have a little cute homestead here in South Washington. Something that I love to do, and I usually do this, admittedly, when it's a little warmer and a little sunnier outside. But it's January and I'm feeling the itch, so I'm going to do it anyway. I love to paint. I love to paint, especially in kind of like a speed paint, kind of what most people would consider like a Bob Ross type style. So I thought I would do kind of a cool project. See this big ugly thing behind me? That's my chicken coop. So this is what I think is called a tough shed. These used to be full of trash. This is really the long short of it. And I cleaned it out and I turned it into a goat shed and a chicken coop, respectively. I can't turn my camera around, so I'll have to just see if we can see. So there's the goat shed. It's the first one I cleaned out. And then here's the chicken shed. I haven't let my chickens out, as you can see. So what I think I'm going to do today, and it's going to be a little dependent on how much primer I have. It was very expensive, so I just got what I could afford. But I'm going to try and spray this down, and I'm going to paint a whole big mural of some kind. I know that this wall is visible from the driveway, the road. To call it a road is a little bit extreme. Lots of people live down this private drive that we live off of. It's kind of a road, not really a road. So I know that this wall is visible from this road, so I want it to look cool from a distance. I think I want it to have lots of trees. I really love water, so I kind of want it to have some running water. What I think I'm gonna do is some kind of forest scene with like a stream running through the middle of it, with some big trees up in the foreground that are kind of like, you know, big and dark and imposing. And then maybe, depending on how I, figure out the skyline, maybe like a cool, very Bob Rossy type mountain in the back. Just because that's fun. So I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get my chores started, get all my animals out and happy, and let's get started. All right, that actually did better than I thought it would. This should be a good example of just how much I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm not detail oriented, and I'm not gonna let that stop me. So if this bothers you, I have news for you, my friend. This is my entire world. A little messy, not perfect. And I feel like I have to laugh at myself a little bit. My camera set up, that's not a tripod. This is the top of a canopy that I found in the bushes. And I use it sometimes, it has chicken wire over it, because I use it sometimes as like a little mini cover for like a ground plot to keep my chickens out of whatever I'm trying to grow there. Like I've used it to grow onions and garlic and that kind of stuff in the past. It's not being used right now, and I needed a higher angle, so my camera's propped up on top of it. I was very proud of myself for my innovation there. So I'm gonna let this dry. I'm very, very happy. My one can worked better than I thought it would. I might go over this a little bit more and just use up the rest of the can. I'm not painting anything else. So the primer is dry, so we're gonna get to it. I'm a little more bundled up and I've got gloves on, so I'm ready to go. My goats are out, so trouble will undoubtedly ensue. So what I think I'm gonna do, because whenever you're doing big mural pieces like this, you gotta really plan ahead, because I'm building it from the background forward. So I think what I'm gonna do, because I have this big window right in the middle, is I'm gonna work with that, and I'm gonna do I think like a big forest scape with like dense trees on this side. Probably have the sun probably right in there, I'm thinking. And then I'm gonna have a big river coming through the trees, and then down through here, and then kind of back up and off screen, quote unquote. And I'm gonna have some big trees on this side. Turkey, I need that. Please don't mess with those. Child? Stop being a turkey. And then over here, I'm gonna have some kind of rolling hills on the, inside of the river. Picture the river as like a big U. And then I think I'm gonna put some big, pretty Bob Rossy mountains over there in the way distance. And then with a big tree in the foreground to kind of push everything back and give it depth. And then I'm going to put lots of pretty flowers in through here, and then probably some more pretty flowers down here, and then another big tree framing it in. That's my, big plan. Not super well thought out, just an image, and then I'm just going to go for it and have fun with whatever happens. Let's go. Alright, so my big camera just died, which is fine, so I'm gonna go charge it, take a break, warm up a little bit, got my gloves on. This is what I have done so far. I'm feeling mixed feelings about how I'm trying to do clouds right there, and I just don't like how they're turning out. So I think I might paint over them and just paint in some like cool fluffy highlights and just get rid of all of the white, because the white under, I try and like leave lightness there and add to it, as opposed to make it all dark and then pump whiteness back onto it. So I think I'm just gonna get rid of it though, and then just add in more highlights radiating out for the sun. I think that'll look better. So that's what that's where I'm at so far. I'm not gonna do too much with the sky over here because I'm still not 100% sure what I'm gonna do over there. So I'm gonna let this dry and go charge my camera and take a break for a minute, warm up, and then when I get back, I think I'm gonna add in all of the brown and the green going around the bottom, all the hills and that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna put any flower details quite yet. That'll come much later, right near the end probably. But I'm just gonna get the basin of the river in and placed, and I'm gonna add in like the nice, green hills and some of the grass, and then I'm gonna start adding in the trees, and we'll go from there. So, yay! Progress! right, so, oh wait, let's put it this way. There you go, it's better. Oh, that looks pretty. So my big camera has died again. I'm realizing now how ineffective the battery is, but so this is what I've gotten done so far. I think it caught me doing most of the green, but I don't think it caught me adding any of the yellow. So I'm starting to build up the hills and the grasses and just making sure I have a good background that I'm basically gonna paint right over. I've left that mostly brown because I do intend to put a big tree right there, and so I want that brown to mostly be not a highlight, a backlight almost, because I'm gonna do the tree much darker than this brown. And this wood, let's see if I can do this. This wood is very textured. So what I'm gonna do, I realized that if I go up and down like this, it actually, you can see the texture of the boards underneath. And like, how cool is that? So I'm gonna take advantage of that. And so I'm gonna do a good, you know, back coating of a lighter brown. And then I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna do like a gentle brushes of the dark brown. And I'm hoping that it'll create this really cool dynamic effect and you'll be able to see maybe even just a little bit, but you know, that'll be okay. That very like woody, that woody texture. The chickens are being naughty. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. It's very cold. My outfit keeps changing because I keep adding different layers as I get, you know, different degrees of cold. But walking away from it and looking at it over the corner, I think that looks pretty dope. So you can very clearly see where the river is going to be going. Well, backwards. And then up here, I'm going to put a big old Bob Rossi mountain because it's pretty. And then a big old tree right here. And then probably more trees, lots of woods. And then all through the hills and all through here, I'm going to add lots of pretty flowers. So I was feeling very about it with just the sky. Feeling a lot better now. I've used up all the paint that I have out, so this is a good moment to stop so I'm not wasting any paint, put everything away. It's not gonna rain. I live in Washington and this is January, so it's risky. But we're gonna do it. I don't have any cover for it, so let's just cross our fingers that it doesn't rain tonight, because essentially all of that could just wash away. What are you doing, chickens? I have too many roosters. That's what. Hi, chickens. Everyone's going to bed because it's getting dark. I do have too many roosters. My 2 young roosters just started crowing this week and now everyone's fighting. Makes it much more difficult to film when all your roosters start fighting. They got to go sooner than later. So I'm gonna end here for tonight. Tomorrow I'm going to do the mountain and the water and then the trees, and then I'm gonna build out the hills and the flowers more because some of the hills and the flowers have to go over the water, so I need to give it the water a chance to dry before I can mix those. So yeah, feeling great. Let's do it. All right, good morning. I'm getting back to it. I'm bundled up a little more today. It is 35 degrees Fahrenheit outside. It's a little silly of me to be doing this, but I'm gonna keep going. So I'm gonna probably start with, I think I said I'm gonna start with the mountain, and then with those gray tones, I'm gonna go in and do some of the riverbed. Work out, you know, where the darker parts are, where you're gonna see the rocks and that kind of stuff jutting up out of the water, and then let all that dry, and then come back in and start doing the water. So let's get to it. Got my coffee, got my gloves, got my cute hat. Wearing lots of baggy, bundled up, warm clothing, so I look like a blob, but that's okay. We're making art. That's what matters. right, so I had really hoped to get even more done today, but that's okay. I kept getting pulled away, so I can't help it. And now the sun's starting to go down, so I'm gonna be chased out by the lack of light here sooner than later. I'm feeling pretty good about the river. Just okay. There's some spots that I like, other spots that I don't. I feel like it looks better from a distance, which I guess is kind of, step back, kind of the point. I don't think my waterfall reads as waterfall, so I think I need to work on the area around it to make it look, you know, a little more cliff-like. I think that's why I'm having some lack of depth there. I'm worried it's all too kind of not one color, but I don't know, I feel like it needs more depth or something like that. But I think a lot of that will kind of pop into place more as I add in the brush and the trees. Like once I add in, you know, the great big tree and all the branches and like the woods, that's all gonna go right here. That's gonna really push everything that's way off in the distance, way off into the distance. Once I highlight the mountain's just a big black shadow right now. And then probably add more trees and forest over on this side also to really create that depth. And then the finishing touches will obviously be finishing up the grass, make it look more grass-like. Right now it's all basically just background colors that I'm going to be mostly painting over to add in shadow. Kind of like those dark rocks, quote-unquote rocks, that I put in around the edges. I put them there with the intention of mostly painting over them to create places of depth where it looks like the water is pushing and crashing against stuff. So I'm going to be adding more highlights. I have to get a different brush to do that, a smaller brush, to really add in like the little flicks of water that'll really make that read water. I think what I'm going to do, because I used some of the same colors for the river as I did with the sky, is I'm going to put some more purple and reds on my palette and then finish up the sky over on this side so that I can use up the paint that I haven't used for the river yet, because I don't want to waste any paint. And then I think by then the sun will have gone down and I'll have to go to bed. So, and all of my chickens will be in bed. They are hanging out with me, being a little nosy. I don't know how much of it the camera catches. I haven't really looked too much at the footage, but please know that even if they're not on the camera, they are definitely close by and underfoot. So this is my very fancy tripod setup. All right, day 3, we're back at it. I do still wish I'd gotten more done yesterday, but I'm choosing to be kind to myself about it. The last time I did a big mural like this, it was in my mother's bedroom. I can put in some pictures. It was really cute. I did it for, I think, Mother's Day. She really likes the ocean, so I wanted to give her a big painting, and I just snuck in there and did it while she was gone for the weekend. And I cranked it out really quickly in just about under 2 days. And it is bigger than this, so that's something. This is shorter. I had to get up on a step stool to do her room. But the thing that I'm not giving myself enough like leeway on is that it's cold, and this is way up at the shop, and so every time I need to like go and get something or take a break or go to the bathroom, going back down to the house is like a big thing, and every time I do it, I'm like depleting my spoons. So it's just taking me more time. That's okay. Day 3, I was really hoping to have this done in 2 days because it is less space. It does look pretty good from a distance though, so I'm feeling better. I was feeling pretty down on myself last night. I was not saying very kind things to myself, but I think that's unfortunately fairly normal for artsy people, where we are all our own worst critic. So I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna start with, let's say, I'm gonna highlight my mountain, finish up my mountain, and then I'm gonna start with some distant trees. Yeah, so I'm gonna do highlights on my mountain, and then add in some woods, and this is backwards, add in some woods and forest and stuff and build it out. and then lots of woods and forest in the background up here, and build it forward, and then I'll start with the big trees. And then I'll get into doing like the bushes and the grass and the flowers. So that's actually not that much. So this is totally fine. I'll finish it today. I bet I will finish it today. I'm not doing anything. I need to go grocery shopping because I need to buy more food for my chickens, but they'll be fine this morning. And I'm just gonna get to it. So let's do this. Alright, so at risk of sounding like a broken record, I again didn't get as much done as I'd hoped to. I'd hoped to mostly finish it, honestly. I like the tree. I don't love the mountains. I'm probably going to redo most of the tops of them. I can't remember if I already talked about that, but there isn't enough contrast. I'm going to add in an F-ton of flowers. So tomorrow is going to be an all flower day. It's going to be all colors. Lots of pink, lots of purple, lots of orange. I'm going to try and mix as many different bright pops of, wildflower colors as I can. My goal is going to make sure that it looks as different from the fairly colorful sky as possible, and to add a lot of even more depth. Although I feel like I'm getting to the point where it's starting to really look like it has a lot of depth. So we're getting there. I added a little cliff. This is hard to do backwards. I added a little cliff next to the waterfall. So I think that looks like it has more depth. And then I bet once I add more stuff here, that's like big and very clearly, like a big bush, I think it's going to make the perspective make a lot more sense. I hope the tree is visible from far away. It's hard to tell. When you're only working with a handful of paints, I'm struggling with like mixing my colors. There's my big apparatus is in the way. Stand over here. Trip on camera. It's not super obvious. Well, looks pretty. So I'm just gonna be happy with however it turns out. This has been an emotional struggle, more than I thought it would be. I'm equally like, oh, I'm having a lot of fun, I love it. And equally like, I hate it, I suck, I never want to paint again. And that's a lot to struggle with. And it's cold. And it's not convenient to be up here for this extended period of time. My camera keeps dying. And then I go down and warm up. And I don't want to come back out. Don't eat my boxes, you buttheads. No, oh my god, Ava. Don't drink that. Stop. What is wrong with you? What, do you have a taste for paint now? Drink that water. Oh my god. Don't even think about it. You're trying to murder yourself. Stop it. Ah! Oh my goodness gracious. This is what I get. I should put you back in your pen. I'm trying to be nice. Oh my goodness gracious. No, I can't. You guys are gonna kill yourselves. Stop it. Stop trying to eat paint. Have some self-preservation skills. All right, day, I don't know, too many. I'm wearing even more layers, even though it's actually warmer today, so I might take off my sweater. I'm looking bulkier than ever. That's okay. Don't have too much to do today. I'm gonna finish strong. Lighting's a little weird because it is the early afternoon. But today I'm gonna redo some of the sky here and then redo some of the mountains, and I'm going to paint flowers for probably the rest of the time. My youngest doe is in heat. She's screaming her head off. She's probably gonna scream her head off the rest of the time. That's okay. She's okay. She's just in heat, and she's still a baby, so we can't do anything about it. So she's just gonna scream, and that's okay. So I'm really excited to pack all of this, and especially all of this, with just an insane amount of flowers. And so I'm going to try and mix as many variations of color, because I feel like some of my greens are looking, you know, a little too one note throughout it. I'll be the first to admit that I don't have an education in paint mixing. I don't really know what I'm doing in terms of really achieving good, pretty, different pigments. I don't have that many different paint. I got these big jugs that I got on a good sale, and I had a little extra money, and I treated myself, and I bought just a whole bunch of paint at once. And I'm using what I got for right now, because that was the only way I could afford to ever do anything like this. But sometimes, I don't know, I feel like I struggle a little bit with a lot of, like, I don't know, the same colors. I'm getting better, but I'm learning. So I'm gonna try and do some fun mixes and come up with some pretty colorful flowers to really pop some more color and depth into these fields. And especially right up in here, I'm gonna do some hopefully really pretty detailed flower work right in there. So let's do it. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about that. I think I'm gonna let myself call that done. I like the flowers. I tried to put as much variation in as I could. I think I achieved some, you know, I definitely have paint on my face. That's okay. The mountain looks way better. I'm way happier with that. I'm so glad I put in that effort. It was totally worth it. Part of me wants to go in and add even more detail to the water, but you know, I'm actually pretty happy with it. Still can't really tell that there's as many trees there as I wanted it to be obvious, and I'm still a little worried that my big tree doesn't super pop from a distance, but that's okay. I think it looks really pretty up close. It makes me happy. So yeah, I'm gonna get some detail shots in, take some pictures. Feeling pretty happy about this. This was a challenge and I'm glad that I rose to it. I always forget how much I love painting until I start doing it, and then while I'm doing it I'm like, this is awesome. I think it's very human and common in many people who create things to feel very insecure. I think it's okay if you feel insecure. I feel insecure all the time. I'm still looking at this being like, oh, I know people can do better. And honestly, that's a good thing. That's a beautiful thing that we live in a world where we get to experience so much great art. There's always more people out there to discover. There's always people who are better than you. There's always people that you can learn from. And it really forces you, if you want to continue doing something that you love that's creative, to just be happy with what you do because it makes you happy inside to do it, not because of what, you know, other people think or how you might compare to people. So I say that, I don't always believe it, and that's okay. It just takes time and effort. Sometimes I just want to cry and I'm like, oh, you suck. And other times I'm like, well, call me Picasso 2.0. No, not really. But it's a wide spectrum and you have to just do things because they bring you joy. And this brought me a lot of joy. Brought me a lot of cold, achy feelings. Brought me a lot of exhaustion. My hand and wrist was feeling weird the last 2 days because I've been holding such a heavy brush at weird angles for so many hours. But it also brought me a heck of a lot of joy. So, and what's better is that this painting will bring me joy for days and days and weeks and months going forward, because I'll get to look at it every single day. I'm only a little bit terrified at the prospect, but it's beautiful. So I'm happy I brought it into the world. Thank you for hanging out with me. This was a trial and a half, but I did it. I did it. So I'll see you next time, Internet. Bye.